Hey everybody, and thank you for joining us for the 99th week of the Free Assange Vigil. My name is Andrew Smith, and joining me tonight I have today three special co-hosts, Kendra Christian, Missy Winston, and special guest Nico House. And we do have Brittany Winter, sister of Reality Winter, with us, and we will get to her in just a moment. But before we do, I do want to run through the numbers with everybody real quick. We have 3,819 days since the illegal and arbitrary detention of Julian Assange started. We have 782 days since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the US and UK for a $4.2 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund to the nation of Ecuador. We have 145 days since the January 6 ruling denying Julian Assange bail after ordering his release and no extradition on January 4th. We have 1,444 days of federal incarceration for whistleblower Reality Winner. We have 1,374 days of inhumane detention for the alleged Vault 7 whistleblower Joshua Schultz. 957 of those days have been spent under special administrative measures, which I do have a program planned on Tuesday to go over what SAMS is again with everybody. We have 781 days of political persecution for Ola Bini by the Ecuadorian government. Our two bright spots are 336 days of freedom for Chelsea Manning, who is streaming regularly to Twitch, and then 84 days of freedom for Jeremy Hammond, who has been out of any penitentiaries or halfway houses for 84 days now. So big shout out to him and his family. With that, how are you doing today, Misty?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited. I love having guest hosts, and Nico is one of my favorite people, so this will be fun. And Kendra, like I haven't seen Kendra in forever, so this is like a fun little show. I'm excited about this one. But how are you doing, Kendra? How are things in Denver?
Things are good in Denver. I'm glad to see you guys too. It's kind of nice. I had, some plans get changed around this weekend, and then also we have that added Monday. So it's like having a Saturday back, which is great, And Denver's been really busy right now where, you guys, it's so cool. We had our meeting this morning and we've like doubled, our core group planning and everything is doubled, and we're starting to plan. I know you are too, Misty, for the Shipton's visit. So it's like all hands on deck right now for the 3rd. I think we're pretty solid on a venue. We'll have that all set by Wednesday. So it's good. It's a lot of good ideas going around, and so it's busy.
Yes, it is. No, me and Andrew and I are actually, we get to do this together because he's also in Ohio. So,
Right.
I at least have Andrew to help me, and he's like king of permits. So
that's a huge help.
Yeah, that is a huge help. And, the people from, the tour Home Run for Julian that are organizing it have been very helpful. So I think we'll be fine. I'm excited for it. I hope that this will be, if you guys haven't seen it yet, if you go to Assange Defense, they have a listing of all the dates and locations of where they're going to be. It opens in Miami, Nico House, June 6th.
I heard.
Yeah.
Me and Gloria are going to be there.
Yay. See, I knew they'd go. No worries. Yeah.
I mean,
so yeah. What's going on, Nico?
Start in Miami. Everything's just starting to end in Miami.
That's fair.
But I'm glad. So funny enough, because of the really unique dynamics of South Florida, there are a lot of Assange supporters out here. Because even though I know people like kind of consider South Florida by default like Republican mostly, it's not really. I would say it's mostly populist with it's like left leaning and right leaning, of course. And of course, you have your extreme people on both sides, and you obviously have your partisan politics as well. But I mean, when we threw the event for like Tulsi, for example, we didn't expect like that many people to show up because we were in downtown in Mary Brickell Village, and like there were like 300 or 400 people who showed up. We actually had reach capacity. People had to stand outside, and it was kind of a surprise because these are the type of people who support Julian Assange, Chelsea Manning, whistleblowers like Reality Winner, and it's dope. And I think that there probably is a recognition of that even amongst the Assange group, that, South Florida is a good place to start. It's a good place to kick it off. And obviously we enjoy a lot of freedom down here, so that's fun. And so it's a good way to start off a tour like that.
So I'm super excited to have Brittany with us. For those of you
Yes.
who don't know, she is Reality Winner's sister, and she has been advocating pretty much relentlessly since Reality was first incarcerated over 4 years ago. And I want to start us off with some good news. This is something that we were talking about before the start of the show, but because we were talking about the numbers and the dates that we go through. And you had the last date you said that you had was the date of release for Reality as it stands right now. So do you want to talk about that, but also kind of what's been leading up and the stuff that you guys are working on?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So Reality's release date is November 23rd, 2021. So, thank goodness it's this year, towards the end of the year, right around the holidays. Um, she's not guaranteed that. That's actually her good time date. So the way that Texas does it and the BOP does it is you get your good time built in at the beginning, and then if something were to happen, if she were to face some disciplinary actions in prison, they could move that back. And so by that time, she'll have served over 4.5 years in prison, and in that rural Georgia jail that she was in for over a year when she was denied bond. So I was telling Andrew before the show that COVID, since last year has just, it's been hard on everybody, but it's been really hard on the prison population because they got nowhere to go. And Reality has told us, horror stories about guards, getting frustrated and retaliating against the inmates, retaliating against the powerless, and treating the inmates like the inmates are the source of infection when that's impossible because again they're not going anywhere. They're not the ones going maskless. They're not the ones going out and about in society. And so last year, many inmates tested positive for COVID, my sister included. As far as I know, she didn't suffer any major symptoms, any huge issues, but she did tell me that the loss of sense of smell is still plaguing her. And so even today, over almost a year later after she was infected with COVID, she still can't smell things right. So who knows if she had not been in prison, she probably could have protected herself and she would have been able to avoid being infected. But there was no chance for her and for other, medically vulnerable inmates. So even though, COVID in the greater United States has kind of died down and things are opening up, the BOP still uses COVID as an excuse to hampered the activities of the inmates. And so Reality is really not, doing everything that she could potentially be doing if COVID hadn't happened. For example, she's not been able to restart correspondence college classes. The BOP and the guards are also messing with all the inmates' mail. So Reality can't receive any cards. We try to send photos. So I have a 6-month-old daughter. Reality hasn't received any photos of her because the prison just arbitrarily decides not to accept photos, on 1 week. Or at some point, we were fighting them because we weren't able to send her books all of a sudden because the BOP didn't recognize Amazon as a bookseller. I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing. They're using every single excuse. And so, things are just, they're bad. They've gotten a little bit better since last year, but they're still bad. And the fact that Reality has to serve another 4 or 5 months is just, it's awful. And we really want Joe Biden and the administration to hear our pleas for clemency for Reality. She's had her clemency petition in since last year, and we're still waiting. So as much as we tried to advocate and get the word out, we won't stop. We will keep asking for clemency. If she's released before she can get clemency, then we'll push for a pardon so that she doesn't have to go through for 3 years of supervised release and all of the issues of having a felony conviction on her record. And hopefully she'll get the right to vote again, because I think it's very ironic that she tried to protect all of our voting rights and tried to make democracy and our elections more secure, and then coming out of this, she's lost her right to vote as a felon. So we want to right this wrong, and we want to continue to petition and push for anybody who has any access to Joe Biden or his administration to please advocate on behalf of Reality Winner.
Have you heard anything from the administration? Like, have you even gotten like a form letter response or any kind of anything? Because I mean, I always get like form letters or form emails or whatever when I contact them. But I mean, anything seriously from a Democrat? Have you heard anything?
My mom got a form letter from the White House, and it wasn't even signed by anybody. Because we've been sending letters, we've been sending petitions online, and she finally got something back, and it was very much like, the Justice Department, blah blah blah, is looking into, but it was
We hear
very
you.
vague, exactly, very very nondescript, not mentioning reality at all, not mentioning anything. Unfortunately, we haven't really had very much success with getting Democratic senators, House members, or candidates at this point to really speak up for her. We've tried, we've worked on as much as we could, as far as people that we know, but politics is very crowded, and for some reason, people also don't really want to touch the issue of reality winner. Maybe because whistleblowing itself is a little bit controversial, depending on what it is. And a lot of people still really don't know about reality and the contents of the document she leaked, for example. And, she's not as much of a household name as other prominent whistleblowers.
Yeah, and I do think you're right, though. I think whistleblowing is like kind of a taboo subject with politicians. We've experienced the same thing when we approach people to speak for Julian Assange. There's only, yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's only one. Well, really, I guess it's not fair to say one, but Tulsi for the longest time was the only one who was an elected official currently sitting in a
Amash
seat.
and Massey also spoke up a
Mhm.
little bit after her, I feel like.
Yeah,
She was on her own for a long time, like sole person. So it is, and it's really depressing and disheartening that that's the situation in which we find ourselves, because the situation has gotten so bad in terms of free speech and press freedom, and there's attacks on it constantly. We now have anti-protest bills across the country. There's they're trying to make BDS illegal. I mean, it's just a constant barrage of attacks on really the First Amendment, and we can't even get so-called progressives to speak out on it. And then when one does, which was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she gives a horrible answer. So, that's just really, it's really weird. I mean, I didn't, and if you would have told me, because I am a leftist, if you would have told me that Sarah Palin would come to like the defense of Julian Assange before Bernie Sanders, like 5 years ago, I would have been like, you're crazy. I would have laughed hysterically, but that's where we are. It's weird. It's this very bizarre.
Like it's important. It's important to make that distinction of like, oh, now it's Sarah Palin, because it's now, because in 2010, 2011, until basically 2016, the Democrats were championing him. CNN and New York Times were saying he deserved a Pulitzer Prize. Others were saying he deserved a Nobel Peace Prize and all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, when they're like, oh, hold up, we thought you were on our team. Now it's, oh, you were being objective and altruistic. Oh, no, we can't have any of that stuff out here.
Right. He got a standing ovation in a room full of Democrats at a TED Talk. Standing ovation.
I remember.
They loved him.
It's almost like it's almost like if you go back and read the headlines about Julian Assange, it's like you're living in an alternate reality. That's what it feels like. It's kind of scary. But you see the same thing like with Chelsea Manning, because she got clemency, if I recall. Like she got clemency. I know she didn't get pardoned, but I know she got clemency. And when you look at just the Democrats' willingness to release her because of the attachment to Julian Assange from the very specific period of him exposing the Republicans, it's like it's night and day. It's night and day how they treated whistleblowers when they thought that they were partisan versus now when they realize whistleblowers can be dangerous to the entirety of the establishment rather than just one party, especially in the era of social media where like now, back then if somebody whistleblowed, you kind of like had to dig and be really willing to go and do the work to see what the whistle's blowing on outside of like the headlines that blow up. Now when things blow up, it's all over social media. Instantly. There are videos and then people cover it. And then people have very, very specific interests where they're covering the things about the whistleblowing that they found most interesting. So it blows up and then everybody gets exposed. So I think they just felt like they just had to put the nail in the coffin and they're like, we're going to shut all of this down. We don't care who does it anymore. Or even if it's, even if it's not really released or they're not breaking any laws or any real rules by releasing the info. Because what Chelsea Manning did, Actually, according to UCMJ, if she found out that there were laws being broken and didn't report it, and they found out she knew, she could have been prosecuted under Uniform Code of Military Justice, and that's the predicament they put her in. And so that's where we're at now, and it's sad.
I think you're right. I think that the attacks, and I think that's why the attacks on whistleblowers have amped up so much, and why you're seeing like such a harsh sentence given to somebody like Reality, because I mean, this is going to sound awful to say, but she's being made the example. You know what I mean? Like it's like Julian, they use him as like the head on the stake. Like, this is our warning to you. If you come for us, this is what we're going to do to you. And that's what, I mean, if you look at the way that over the course of time, they've treated whistleblowers like John Kiriakou or Bill Binney or Ray McGovern. I mean, it's crazy. The hell that is rained down upon them. And it's because it's the chilling effect. They want to make sure nobody ever does it again.
Mm-hmm.
But in the case,
I agree that if this was partisan, if the reason why Reality was imprisoned, so and treated so harshly was because of just the Republicans and just because of the Trump administration and his DOJ, well, then why hasn't Biden fixed it? That's kind of my question of okay, well, it's one thing to look at it and say, okay, well, Biden got it inaugurated in January. Reality's getting released in November. I guess he doesn't maybe feel like there's any urgency or feel like he needs to do anything. She'll just serve her sentence and then go away. But, newsflash, we're not going away, and we're still going to call on him to right this wrong because it's still wrong. And if he's committed to free and fair elections, if he's committed to the United States being honest with its citizens for once, especially about election interference, then he needs to let Reality go, and he needs to give her a pardon. And we need to fix this culture of repression and censorship, and we need to stop lying to people, lying to American people. I mean, we're paying for the research, we're paying for the FBI, the NSA to do this work, and then they're not giving us the information. They're not helping us make our elections more secure based on the intelligence that they have. It took Reality's leak for the states to even know that Russia had targeted their election systems. It's sad and it's disgusting, and she needs to be let go. She should be commended and given a medal, given a reward for her service, and instead they threw her in her cell.
That's
right.
This country's real quick, because I think that in the case of your sister, Brittany, it's such a severe punishment compared to what she did.
Isn't it the longest?
It's crazy to me.
Prison sentence given to somebody like her. Like, I don't know what the freight, I don't know. I think that's what they said is like the longest prison sentence that's ever been handed down to I don't remember what the terminology was that they used, but yeah, it's crazy. And what's even more insane is that, I mean, just like in the case of like Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning, the war criminals, the literal war criminals that they exposed are like going on Ellen and writing books and buying huge estates on Martha's Vineyard. But Chelsea Manning gets tortured. And, Julian Assange is currently in a supermax prison with, terrorists and shit. Dude's a journalist, no history of violence. No. And he's an intellectual. It's just crazy the way that we have it so backwards that we allow, literal war criminals to walk around and we persecute truth tellers. It seems just so backwards.
That John Kiriakou, he was a CIA whistleblower that revealed
can y'all hear me?
Torture programs.
Yes.
What he explains throughout his trial is that it's not about justice. It's not about bringing this stuff to light to be talked about. It's about mitigating damage and embarrassment. And it goes because the intelligence community doesn't have sides. They just are an apparatus. So the people inside just work within it. And when someone steps out, even if it's to reveal information, regardless of what that information says, whether it's CIA torture programs, whether it's election integrity issues, whether it's what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan, they're all treated the same because they don't want people to think that there's a chink in that armor to begin with.
Yeah, so I feel like it's important for us to also, Brittany, when your family's contacting the government and we want to talk about just maintaining some type of consistency, does anybody remember how they treated the whistleblower who released the transcripts for the Ukraine gate bullshit? And it was uplifted.
Oh,
Bernie
yeah.
Sanders
Yeah.
cheering him
Eric
on.
Caramello Bar. If you
There are
remember
now
the way
shirts
Jason
because
Burr
of that
said
that
it.
say protect whistleblowers. Like that,
Yeah.
not because that's it
They
took
called
that.
him brave. Oh my God. And he actually did break a law, which is even crazier. Like that's what was
Yeah.
wild about it. He actually broke a law and like revealed a conversation, a transcript from a conversation between two executive world leaders.
Yeah.
Like that is, and it was,
Ugh.
I mean, the conversation wasn't anything like crazy, but like
Joy
the fact that
Reid
two
was
world
like
leaders can't
praising
even
him.
worry,
Yeah.
huh?
Joy Reid was praising him, and Rachel Maddow.
Exactly.
Like they're like, you know,
And like and in my opinion, the implications of what that person did, basically, like I'm working within the government and I'm revealing conversations because I don't like this person. And so now executive leaders can't even have any type of negotiation between each other without the fear of something like that happening. And yet that person was praised while Reality Winner is in jail and can't have her name mentioned. So what's the difference here?
right?
I would
And
say
in my opinion, I think it's because of the although I don't agree with necessarily the Russian interference thing, I do what I do agree with 100% and believe it's the electoral reform issue that they
Mm-hmm.
never want to address. And she showed all the chinks in the armor that and then she was using a point that the Democrats were even arguing. Like, hey, I thought that y'all really cared about this. Why aren't y'all doing anything about it? And that was a problem for them because when somebody on their side exposes them, and that's really kind of how it goes, unfortunately, for the left and neoliberal left as well. Like once you expose them from their side using their talking points and exposing their hypocrisy, you become public enemy number one. More than a Republican, more than a conservative, it's you because you are invested in that side and you've experienced that side and you see who they are and you're like, look, y'all are in the wrong and people are more likely to listen. And I feel like that's why she's getting punished in a way that's disproportionate from what would be expected.
Well, there's also the issue that she's essentially a nobody, to the government. She doesn't have friends in high places. Reality also doesn't have any money. I mean, my family doesn't have any money. We have no influence whatsoever. Like there is no political favor that we could give anybody. We can't help anybody get elected. We can't donate millions to somebody's campaign. So, I mean, from the very beginning, it was so easy for the government to go after Reality to deny her bail 4 times so that she would be stuck in a rural Georgia jail for over a year, and then essentially force her to plea, or else it was going to drag on even longer. Force her to plea and then sentence her to a record-breaking 63 months. And then the government actually had a party and a celebration and served champagne and celebrated these prosecutors for doing a bang-up job in putting somebody's head on a spike, making an example of Reality to prevent further whistleblowers. And that's exactly what, Trump's administration wanted to do, was to stop the leaks, stop the whistleblowing. And it was just so easy to just throw Reality in a cell and lock her up and, just deny her compassionate release last year because of COVID. Reality doesn't pose a threat to anybody. She never has and she never will. She's not a violent person. She has no criminal record. We thought for sure that she was going to be released last year because of compassionate release when she contracted COVID. The prison was, it's overcrowded as it is. They couldn't manage, the inmates, and Reality's compassionate release appeal wasn't really even heard by the judge. The judge just decided that the same judge that sentenced her ended up just not really considering it, not hearing it. So they don't actually have to give us an answer, and they didn't. Meanwhile, there's another inmate at FMC Carswell, where Reality is incarcerated, who was granted compassionate release. And this woman, though she's elderly, she actually murdered her husband with an axe. And so Reality speaks fondly about this lady. She's a nice old lady, apparently. But, Rita Glusman is an infamous, murderer. And she was released on compassionate release, whereas my sister, again, who has never hurt anybody, never would hurt anybody, can't catch a break because the government wanted her to serve every single day that they could make her serve, because they don't believe in mercy and they don't believe in letting good people out. So it's a travesty all around, and it's been a terrible experience, obviously for her and for us, and just trying to get traction, trying to get people to speak up about Reality and advocate for her.
That
Yeah, and
actually, as scary as it sounds, you could, short of the axe murdering nice old lady, that story is almost word for word what Julian has suffered through coronavirus, including the denial of bail applications at the whim of the same judge ruling over his case. They moved 64 COVID positive patients into his isolation unit, and then turned the heat off to that wing of the
He has an
cell.
underlying lung
Yeah.
condition.
Yeah, so
It's fine.
it's
Don't worry
very
about it.
similar. The way that even as far away as the United Kingdom, that's supposed to be this great, wonderful human rights bastion, is treating inmates that have embarrassed the government the exact same way as the United States.
I think that's
At the whims of the United States.
I think as well, though, like what you're running into with your sister is this has been happening for a while. It's just getting more and more extreme. And the thing about it is, like you said, is that the regular person's place to do the right thing when the government was, overstepping their power or not doing what they should be doing to take care of our rights, like clean water, or whatever the gamut is, that was our vehicle, the free press. That was our vehicle. And that's the thing with Assange, is they take to completely wipe that out. We're already suffering the effects of not being in control of the propaganda and the mass media. Because when we want to say stuff, we're in these little atomized pockets, but when they want to get a message out, that's out.
We're force fed our reality. We have no choice over our reality. We're force fed information and propaganda constantly, all the time, through like literally everything that surrounds us: magazine, book covers, TV shows, movies. I have a billboard campaign, but the billboards you see driving along the highway, it's all propaganda, and we don't have any control over that. We are systematically being stripped even further down away from that. We have like 5 or 6 companies that own 90% of our media. What should terrify everybody? And it doesn't matter to me where you stand on COVID, or where you stand on like the Hunter Biden laptop story or whatever. Or even Donald Trump. Like, let's just take Donald. They wiped the president of the United States off the internet entirely. Like Pinterest took Donald Trump down, like completely erased the sitting president. That should terrify everybody. And I am not a Trump fan.
Anyone who dared to give him a platform.
Right. So that should terrify everybody. His existence was wiped off and the internet, your internet presence is essentially your existence at this point. And so that they could do that to the sitting president, it's getting really bad, but they've managed to like hyper divide everybody so that when it happens to somebody who's not on your team, you cheer it.
Misty, I think it's important to talk. So it's not just a sitting president, a billionaire, right?
Legendary. So that when it happens,
billionaire, right? Okay, probably the president who also got the most re-election votes in history, right? Despite whatever people want to say about it, it's just the fact of the matter. Like this is also the guy who was probably the most popular candidate in GOP history at this point, with all the power and influence that he has or had. It literally did not matter. The push of a button and a few news headlines sent out meant that the president of literally the leader of the quote unquote free world, and obviously that's ironic, but he's at least the leader of the Western Empire, and he was shitty on Israel like they asked him to be, shitty on Venezuela like they asked him to be. Better in some aspects of the Middle East, but was overall horrible. Bombed the shit out of people, assassinated Soleimani. All that didn't matter. You weren't bad enough, and you spoke up too many times. And they, once again, made an example out of Trump, just like they're trying to make an example out of these people who whistleblow, people like Assange and others who participate in free journalism and the freedom of the press. Like, it's scary. It really is. Like, so they're saying basically, we're telling you, it doesn't matter how much influence you think you have. We'll off you. We'll take you out of the game.
And to like Brittany's point, I wish everybody, because I know you guys speak about it, I know we speak about it on the vigil, and then Nico and Misty, I know you guys speak about it all the time, but it's like, it should be really obvious now, because, we're running into the same thing with Assange. Okay, we're under Biden, 100 days is up. Oh, wow. How surprising. Just like all the Democrats elected before, they're lockstep on the same ball.
It doesn't matter who is president. Yeah. I don't know how many times we can say that. It doesn't matter who is president. It's the same agenda. It's the same. All you're doing is changing the face.
That it can be accelerated because Lord, baby Jesus.
Right.
Yeah,
Biden is like fucking got his foot on the gas right now.
he does. And people are still defending him, excusing him, and just give him time. I still keep hearing that. He's been in government for 50 years, y'all.
Bro, he like 852 years old. He ain't got much time left.
Right? Like, stop playing. This is, oh yeah, but you're right. Like, I mean, I've been saying this for a long time. There's always been an attack on free speech and press freedom. You're always going to have that when you have a power structure such as we do. Powerful people don't want their shit exposed. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. So there's always been attacks, but it has been ramped up dramatically over the past 10 or 15 years. I mean, Obama really, I think, put his foot, like, that's where it really kicked off. I mean, he prosecuted more whistleblowers than all other presidents combined. I mean, dude went off. I mean, he had James Risen investigated, and he was going to, send him to prison. And I mean, that's when it really kicked off. And the reason why they got away with that is because he's charismatic, and he has a nice smile, and he's kind of funny. And he has a decent singing voice. And
he
so
is
people,
pretty goddamn funny. It's so irritating. I hate that shit.
He is fun, charming.
He really is.
Charming,
and listen,
it's scary.
He just is.
He's a psychopath, but he's.
But he is. I mean,
I forget I hate him when he start talking sometimes. Like if he's not talking about politics.
No, I always remember I hate him. The sight of him makes me.
I remember 15 seconds later
physically uncomfortable.
Like, I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'm like, no, fuck you. I hate you. What you talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Wait.
Like if we're this deep in and we see him like how we see him, and it's like, damn, that's still kind of funny. Like imagine the rest of the world who's just casually paying attention.
Right. Yeah. And that's what's
scary.
I mean, that's what's scary is that they were able to use him so effectively to completely, they're systematically destroying the First Amendment in broad daylight. And I can't get anybody to care. And in fact, people are cheering it on. People who claim to be left are cheering it on, like, calling for more of it. It's really insane. And so when you see something that's happening or what's happening to somebody like Reality, and then you can't even get people to talk about it or to speak out for whistleblowers, and it's like a constant battle against the propaganda that's trying to dehumanize that person and make them I don't know how bad it's been for Reality, but like usually what they do is try to assassinate your character. Like with Julian, it's been intense. It's been like a decade-long smear campaign that has turned him into like a caricature of a comic book villain. They have tried their very best to make him just untenable. And so I think that that's like a really strategic thing that they do, and they're very effective at it because, again, they control all avenues of information.
Yeah, I would encourage you to take a look at Reality's Wikipedia page because basically there were statements by the prosecutor during her trial talking about Reality's private journals and private writings, and it essentially paints her as a Taliban sympathizer and as a
wow.
terrorist. Yeah, I know, which is absolutely just insane. But that's the only thing that is on there. And I actually I changed. I went about 2 years ago and edited her Wikipedia page to add what she was interested in, kind of under the personal life heading, and kind of how she grew up. Stories about. Basically, in brief, about why Reality was interested in the Middle East following 9/11. It has to do with like our father and everything. And that all got taken down. And it turns out that I'm not a reliable source for Wikipedia. And so my own personal, so I haven't really figured out how I'm going to fix that. They literally took it all down. They're like, you're biased. You don't have a source, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right.
Well, of course you're biased. She's your sister, but you're also, I would think that would make you a reliable source on your sister.
Right. Yeah. That's usually we call that a primary source.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Jimmy Dore has spoken about this too, though, because people will edit his Wikipedia page to add all kinds of terrible things, and then when he goes to try to add like some of the stuff, like his Comedy Central special or whatever, they delete it and tell him that he can't edit his own Wikipedia page. And I'm like, but it's his. What? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Wikipedia is a hot mess of a disaster. It's so bad. But yeah, that's what they do. They try to dehumanize you. It makes it so much easier to manufacture consent for the treatment that Reality is seeing right now. If people don't care about her and they don't see her as a human and they see her as like a troublemaker or traitor or a whatever, then nobody cares and they can just do what they're doing and get away with it and it's fine.
Also, nobody has heard from Reality, and that's purposeful. She's not allowed to speak to journalists. Everybody else that I know of, Charles Manson, for example, spoke to journalists all the time when he was in prison, for life. But for whatever reason, Reality Winner can't speak to journalists, and so that's why you've never seen interviews, you've never read anything, you've never heard her voice. Probably there's like very few instances where she was actually allowed to speak from her prison cell. And then if that wasn't bad enough, she has very restrictive terms on her plea release. I mean, it makes sense that she's barred from talking about classified subject areas, but Reality also can't make any money from like talking about her case, talking about her life, talking about herself or anything, or working with anything. So any book deals, Reality can't write a book. Reality can't take honoraria for speeches, and that extends to her family as well. So, like for example, I was approached recently to write an article, which I'm glad to do. I love getting the word out about Reality, but I can't take any money for it. I can't actually accept any actual commission for that under Reality's plea agreement, and that actually applies to both living and future members of Reality's family. And so it's insane. Yeah, it's like it's so restrictive. And it's something that, Reality is going to have this dark cloud, for the rest of her life. Like if the government thinks that she has done something or said something that she shouldn't have said, she'll never actually be free until she gets a pardon, because they'll want to put her right back in prison.
That's what they do to Chelsea. That's what they do to Chelsea. And it's gross. And
she didn't have to say anything. She literally didn't do anything. She
didn't do anything. They just wanted her to roll over on Julian. And so they're like, well, let's go get her. We'll torture her some more and we'll see how that goes. And they still couldn't get her to roll over. No, I mean, Chelsea Manning has to be one of the and I don't mean to like deify her or make her a hero or anything, because I don't like heroes. I think that's always a weird thing for me. But if I had a hero, it'd probably be Chelsea Manning, because she has been relentlessly attacked and gone through so much. And I mean, I know that she's struggled for sure, but she has maintained her integrity. It would be easy. Yeah, she hasn't backed down at all. And it would be easy to be like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's too much. And to roll over on Julian Assange. That would have been so easy for her to do. And she refused. And that's incredible to me. But like they did with the fines for her court fines, which to everybody that ever donated to that, I was like live tweeting that experience because it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Within like 36 hours, we had paid off her fines. And that's the way it should be. That's the way we should support all of our truth tellers, all of our whistleblowers. That's the kind of support that John Kiriakou should see, and that Julian Assange should see, and that Reality Winner should see. Like we should be, as a society, stepping up and having those people's backs, because they're gonna, the government, the elite, the whatever you want to call them, the predator class will always come for them. But if we all stand with them and take some of the pressure off so that it's not just on the one person, it would be so much easier. I think we'd have so many more whistleblowers, which we desperately need.
Yes. Can I say one more thing? I have to hop off here, but I wanted to say one more thing. First of all, Brittany, I'm sending positive vibes to you and your family, and Reality, because this is once again, I feel like we're seeing this happen all too often. But what you said earlier about the fact that Reality isn't a quote unquote household name amongst whistleblowers as of right now, is once again, like that's a huge problem. And I do believe, like you said, it has to do with the nuances of what those documents contain and how people choose to cover whistleblowing. A lot of people will only cover it if they get like a sensationalist clickbait type of attention from it. And that's not what whistleblowing is for. That's not what these people make these sacrifices for. And that integrity should be rewarded and uplifted, and not silenced and ignored. And of course, once again, Julian, we're still praying for you. We're still sending positive vibes your way, into your family. And I want to thank just all of you all just for constantly bringing attention to this issue, and never letting it die, because there are so many people who are, who come at this at the convenience of the news cycle. And you all, once again, just do this shit every single week, plan these events, as often as humanly possible, and have really taken the lead on this issue in a way that we haven't seen anyone do it. And so, it's a pleasure to know you guys and work with you all and be on this vigil.
Yeah, you're fams, Nico. You're gonna make me blush and shit.
You do a ton too.
Don't tell
yeah,
Rob.
You do. Seriously, Nico doesn't get near enough credit because he, when we asked to stream on MCSC, he did not hesitate. And knowing that if you talk about Julian Assange on your show, they're coming for you. Like they
Well,
will
yeah,
come for
they
you.
probably delete like what 200, 300 subscribers a month.
The
from us?
algorithm will get you. They will screw you over. They'll take off, your subscriptions and your clicks, and they'll roll back your numbers and all of that stuff. They will mess with your channel. And he didn't care. He didn't hesitate. Didn't care. He,
Still
stuff.
don't. I don't.
Yeah.
At the
But
end of
I
the
don't think
day,
you get
shit,
enough
Julian
credit for
and I
that.
free, we might not have a goddamn channel in a couple years.
Right? That's the
Right.
point.
Yes. But it's so weird that other people don't get that and they don't understand, you know what I mean? So, I mean, seriously, props to you for always, being on the right side of this and for being unapologetically on the right side of this and for sticking up for us when we get shat upon
Oh, of course.
for doing
Vice
it,
versa, of course. And
Yeah.
They don't get it, right? They don't get it
No.
until it gets them.
Yeah.
Because now a lot of
It's
people felt
unfortunate,
like,
but
oh
yeah.
my God, I can't. We've never saw this coming. But didn't we though? But didn't we?
Makes me so mad every time somebody complains about being censored after they last week were cheering for censorship.
Bruh, last week, within a 24-hour goddamn cycle.
Yeah, that's happened too.
Literally. Again on the
So
show,
annoying.
oh my God, I just can't believe I was censored. Like, well, weren't you just talking about how I love it? No, I was talking about. That was different.
That's not what I meant. You're taking it out of context. That's what you meant. That's what you said.
I don't care if they are.
So annoying,
guys.
Yeah, thanks, Nico.
See ya.
Yeah, so true though, because that's happened so many times. Because I'm okay. I get it. I'm annoying. I get it. And I have come for people. Like I have been after certain content creators. I've backed off of them a great deal now because I realize it's a useless battle. But I shouldn't even have to ask. Like I shouldn't have to ask independent media to cover the most important press freedom trial or case in history. That's just forget the fact that it's going to directly influence your job, I guess, or your whatever, the field that you consider yourself to be in. Forget that aspect of it. It's a story. Like this is massive. It's historic. Yeah. And I shouldn't have to beg people who are in the news business to cover that. Are you kidding me? Right. That should be a huge red flag to anybody. If your content creators are not covering Julian Assange, you need to ask yourself why.
Well, the same thing holds true for people like for Joshua Schultz, for Reality Winner, for Daniel Hale right now, who's a whistleblower that's Biden's first Espionage Act conviction. There's as a society, we've lost so much focus on the things that impact all of us and play these little team games. So I'm just grateful for everyone that turns out to any protest at this point and does anything to try to engage to make the world better. And I'm grateful that you're willing to come on and talk with us, Brittany. And the fact that you are still relentlessly and tirelessly fighting for your sister, even though most people would think, oh, there was a change in administration, it's just going to happen naturally. The Biden administration has treated Reality's case almost the same as they've treated Julian's, where they literally just say, well,
just ignore it,
or it's just in the court's hands. It's none of our business at this point.
Which I called, by the way. Everybody said, what do you think the reaction of the Joe Biden administration will be once they take office on Julian Assange? And I said, he's going to say, it's in the hands of the court now. It's already in process. I'm not going to interfere. And that's essentially what they said. And they kicked it over to the DOJ, and Merrick Garland will never comment on it. And no journalist will ever ask him about it. And they'll just pretend like it isn't happening until they can just that it's really the drawn outness of it. The fact that Reality got such an extended sentence is intentional. They want to drag it out as long as possible. I mean, Julian himself leaked that information years ago, where they said that they were game planning on how to deal with Julian Assange, and one of the ways that they came up with was, well, we'll just tie him up in court stuff for 25 years.
And so one of the things I forgot to mention this when you were talking earlier, you Brittany were mentioning how they threw a party when they got Reality put in jail. There was this UK guy, some weird person from their equivalent of the Department of Justice, released his diary, and it turns out they did the same thing in his situation too. So this is globally horrifying. They had literally what they called
bought everybody ties.
Yeah, Project Pelican. They had little pelican ties that they all
got little
wore.
ties that he handed them out, and they were all excited, and they got to drink, have a big it's gross. Way to go, guys. You just destroyed the press freedom. Good job.
So I know we don't have too much time left with us, Brittany. So if you could give people some final thoughts and stuff, because
And maybe how we can help.
yes,
If there's any, like, if you guys have a legal donation fund, or if you have like any like actions people can take. We're big on calls to action, so any of that stuff that you can offer is things that maybe somebody watching could do to help reality. Yeah, throw that in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I'd like to ask everybody listening today to go to standwithreality.org. That's standwithreality.org, and sign the petition. So the petition is for the Biden administration to grant reality clemency. And so right now we have over 35,000 signatures. And we're hoping that once we reach, 50,000, maybe we can go even higher. Hopefully we'll get some attention to this issue. And the more people that know about reality, the more people that post and tweet about reality, the more attention we get, and the more pressure. One thing that we're also really focusing on right now is to get international pressure as well. So that was I've been told that was instrumental in getting Chelsea Manning clemency, was that the international community looked at her case and said that it was wrong, and so the president did something about it. And so we're hoping that our friends in Europe and beyond will help us, and will also contact their government, and will put pressure on President Biden and his administration to free Reality Winner. So we want clemency for reality. If you could tweet with the hashtag clemency, the number 4, and then reality. Also, make sure to follow myself on Twitter. I'm at Winner Brittany, and please follow my mother at BJ Winner Davis. We post a lot about what's going on with reality. We always post the clemency petition and just updates. And if you want to, send well wishes to reality, we can tell you the very specific way that she can receive mail, because it is a very, very specific thing that will only plain letters, for example, will get through. But reality appreciates all of the support that she's received. She needs to know that she's not being forgotten. I mean, obviously, we're not going to forget about her. We're never going to stop advocating for her. We're never going to stop asking for clemency and then asking for a pardon. So thank you so much again for having me on today. Thank you. It's remarkable, the parallels between reality and Julian's case. I never knew these things. I just basically know the basics, but it's so wrong that both the United States and the UK government can essentially silence people, throw them in a cell, and expect, I guess, the world to forget about them. But it's up to you and me to make sure that nobody forgets about them, and that justice is served, and that we do preserve our First Amendment rights and our freedom to speak and say whatever we want.
so again, thank you so much. You're one of the people that really gives me hope for the world that we live in. So we're always here if you want to come back to talk about reality situation. If there's ever any updates, or you just want a place to vent, feel free to hop in, stay in contact. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Well,
Absolutely. Thank
I
you
want
so
to
much.
say thank you for sure too, Brittany, just because this is the first time I've gotten to, talk with you. And I, just even as we were talking here, that's that's such a big thing. That's your sister. And I just really appreciate you coming on and doing all of that work, because I'm sure it's a really, just everything's probably like right here. And that's got to be really difficult. And just please pass on the message, and we will too with the writing and everything. We'll put that out on our Denver Assange account as well, and go on the website, and look at that even with the rallies more too, and just bring more focus with that, because I do think it's important that we start including everybody, like you said, whose stories are similar, and bring that together. So thank you for sharing all of that today, and for coming on. It was just great to get to know you more, and free reality.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. It's been fun.
So we have Commander X actually doing a stream today. We have some news pieces, but they're not like critical pressing news pieces. So I think if it's cool, then we can just wrap up the vigil early. I'll shoot the link to Commander X's Twitch stream, because I think you guys were hopping over there later on or what have you. So if we want to do that, we can. We have Eric's article, and then the medical detention thing, but we could do those Tuesday or Saturday. I can't hear you, Missy.
That's because I muted, because my mom's cat was extremely loud.
Did you see Brittany's cat too?
Yeah, that was cute.
No, we
Yeah,
had to
I had a
explain,
little
like, it's
giggle over
cool if
that.
cats come on the show. Like, we have
No, she
raccoons
was
and
really
kittens
loud. Like
and-
Brittany started talking and it was like, "Meow," and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't know if you guys saw me shoot a look in that direction, but that was oh, she's the loudest cat I think I've ever heard. Seriously. It's unbelievable. Ugh. I have no idea what time I'm supposed to go over to X's show. So yeah, if you want to wrap though, I mean, if you want to do the news stuff, we can. I don't care.
No,
I really don't
we
care.
can just hold it.
Let's talk about billboards though. Go
Yes.
donate to billboards. Throw that in the chat real quick, Andrew.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think we're at $8,032, and we need to get to 9,900 by June 5th. I think if that's Tuesday. And then what we're going to do is, I had talked to them before. We were going to do just a week of run up. We're going to do the billboards to promote our Home Run for Julian event. But I think we're going to do 10 days instead, because we have the digital billboard. So they're very easy to interchange. Like we can switch designs, like really just like with a couple clicks of a mouse. So we're going to have Bean work on a Home Run for Julian billboard that will, date, time, location, all that stuff, so that we can, which will be awesome. That helps us promote the event in Columbus. And I didn't think anybody would have a problem with that because it's still a billboard for Julian. It's just going to help our event, which is maybe even better. So we're going to do.
Did we talk about where that billboard actually is yet on the street?
Oh, I don't think we did. I don't know. Maybe we. I don't know. I don't think so. No, because I think we just talked about it during our planning meeting. I don't think. Yeah. So the billboard. So I still haven't had a chance to. Columbus is like 30 minutes away from me, and it's end of the school year, and it's a weird school year, so it's been kind of chaotic the last couple of weeks. So I still haven't made it to Columbus to get pictures. So I kind of knew where it was at. Like I have done like the whole Google Maps or Google View or whatever the fuck it's called, to like check it out or whatever. But then Andrew like gets on there and looks at it more like in depth. Like I knew it was a great location. It's downtown. It's on the top of a building. There are buildings all around it. I know that I know that area. So I knew it was a great location. But then Andrew's like, hey, by the way, your billboard is on top of the Reuters building and it directly faces the Capitol building. Like it's like diagonal across, and it's like it's a diagonal billboard, so it's like facing directly at the Capitol.
Heck yeah!
So I would love to keep that billboard for like ever. Well, I mean, at least until Julian's free, because it'd be cool if that would happen too. But as long as we have to do this bullshit, I would love to keep that billboard.
Yeah, no, I have it up on camera right now, actually. Like
share screen it so people can see.
Yeah,
that's
crazy. This is where we're going to be having our event, right outside the state capitol building in Columbus on June 14th. And that is the billboard. It's not on the screen share, but it's on the actual screen itself. It doesn't have our picture, obviously, because this is Google Earth, but that's literally overlooking the state capitol.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube.
This building right here houses Reuters and I believe the CNN affiliate for the Columbus area. So it's literally on top of their freaking building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
that was the best
dopest
catch
billboard.
ever to see.
Yeah, and I really just lucked into that, honestly. I was just given a list of locations that were available. And when they give you the list, it tells you like the address, quote unquote, the address of wherever the billboard is. And then also like the estimated number of views that it gets per week. And all that good stuff. And like, I think it was like a little like brief description of the area. Like this is right off the 270 blah, blah, blah exit by the, that kind of thing. But yeah, that location is dope as hell. I think the only reason I chose it is because it gets the most views, estimated views per week.
And all of those views just happen to be of all the Ohio State House of Representative members.
Right. And it's that's downtown. So people are driving around there. People work in those buildings that are surrounding it. So all day long, they're looking out the window and there's our billboard. And so, I knew it was going to be a great location. The other ones I wanted to kind of shift around to get like different demographics, but that's why I didn't change the one that we got, that one. That's why I didn't change it when we just switched to the new contract, because I'm like, that's a really great location. And I think that I just want to keep it. And now that I know like really where it's at, it's staying. Like that one's not moving. I'll switch the other two around to like get different demographics. There's a couple in the fall. I want to get one that's near the Shoe, which is our college football stadium. If we're still doing this, let's hope that Julian's out by then. But if we're still doing this, college football season is going to be intense this year because it was that you weren't allowed to go last year. There was no fans allowed in the stands. It was just family and stuff like that. So college football is going to be intense this year. So Ohio State is known for tailgating, and it is going to be a lot of tailgating. So there's one that's near the shoe that I'm already eyeballing for that, but definitely the one downtown is staying. It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, donate if you can. If you can't, fine. That's great. Just share it. Everybody share it. Donate if you can. Share either way.
And don't cash yourself out donating, please. Especially in
yeah,
a time
no,
right
that's
now.
what I mean. Like if you can't, don't seriously. I'm not kidding. If you are, don't put yourself out in any way. And even if it's like $5, fan-fucking-tastic, because that helps. You have no idea how much that helps. Huge thank you to Jimmy Dore and Steph Zamorano who shared our donation link. Like last week, I think, gave us a huge boost that we needed because it had kind of stalled a little bit. And so Jimmy Dore shared it and it gave us like a huge boost. So I appreciate them doing that. And yeah, billboards are going good. I'm super pumped about it. I'm really excited that we're going to be able to utilize them to promote our home run for Julian event. That's going to be great.
That's awesome.
That'll help boost.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like a big crowd. You know what I mean? That's a good chance.
I would love if we can. Andrew and I have never done an Assange event in Columbus. We've always done DC. I mean, like we've done individual, like we went and papered Westerville when the what the fuck's that called? Debate was there. Even though they took all of our stuff down before anything happened anyways, which was ridiculous. So yeah, like we've done stuff, but we've never had like an event. So I have no idea really what to expect, but I've been reaching out to literally anybody I can think of. All of the organizing groups that I know. If you know of an organizing group in Ohio, let me know because I don't know them all. And I'm going to reach out to them because what's happening to Julian directly affects the future of our ability to protest. And so every single
we're going to tie it in with, like, we're going to get little infographics together for the 4 different anti-protest laws that are going on right now to localize it. So the whole thing, it will be a free Assange event. And while we are there, we're going to be creating momentum behind making sure we can continue to
and just making sure that we're tying that in, because I don't think a lot of people get the connection. This isn't just about they've done a very good job at making people believe that this is like Julian Assange is a bad guy and he deserves what he's getting. And it's not about that. What's happening to Julian Assange directly influences your life. And we have to start making that connection for more people, because I think there's a huge disconnect there where people don't understand that this isn't like some hacker Russian spy who's not a journalist, that this really does. It directly impacts the future of the ability to protest. There's no question about it. So I think that if we make that more apparent to people, then they're going to be, I think that's the trick with anything is humans are selfish. And so if you can make the connection to how it influences their life personally, it's much easier to get them to care. And I think that that's where we kind of have to try to start finding ways that we can make that more obvious to people. I think just tying it into the protest laws and showing everybody like, look, this is what's being taken from you. And, standing for Julian is a way that you can help prevent it. I think that will be very helpful. But yeah, I'm going to reach out to like every organizing group that I know and try to get them to participate or help if they can, help us paper locations or whatever. Yeah. And I'm going to start reaching out. We're going to start reaching out to Ohio politicians, elected officials. So I'm going to be annoying. That's what I do. I'm going to be very annoying to people. Nina Turner, I'm coming for you, girl. I'm coming.
So someone has called Nina Turner every day since like
I'm coming.
Like,
there's no excuse for her to not be there. There's no excuse. Like, people are going to say, oh, but she's running for office. Yeah, that's exactly why she should be there. That's exactly why she should be there. You have to be there. Like, if you're going to pretend to care about democracy and our freedoms and all this other bullshit that you pretend to care about, then this is something you need to be at. There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
I tried reaching out to Paula Jean Swearingen last night, but my phone number's blocked. So not only am I blocked on Twitter, we're also blocked.
If anybody wants to
Twitter
hit up Paula Jean, she's in West Virginia. It's not far from Columbus. I'm blocked.
Thomas Massey, if you're down in Kentucky, come up.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Like anybody. Like if you are, this is. I shouldn't even have to ask politicians to be showing up to this thing. I shouldn't have to beg Nina Turner to come and defend press freedom. That shouldn't have to be a thing that I have to do. And I'm done like pretending that that's normal and that, or that it should be considered normal or that it's okay, it's acceptable. No, I'm done with that. Like these people all, World Press Freedom Day comes around and they're all like, yeah, press freedom is the foundation of democracy and we have to protect our blah, 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 blah. I'm over it. Like if you, then okay, show up. Show up. I'm tired of the platitudes. It's time to show up.
Cool. We ready to wrap?
I'm Misty Winston. You can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I have another show called Facts on the Ground with Jesse Zerwell. We just released a shit ton of stuff because I do my thing that I do where I, mass ask people. But we just had Eleanor Goldfield on to talk about her new album. I highly recommend checking it out at Art Killing Apathy, I think that's right. So yeah, that was a great interview. If you guys want to check that out, I enjoy interviewing musicians. It's my favorite thing because I love music. And then also on Wednesdays at 7 Eastern, I have Bitch with Comrade Misty. This week, I think I have the host of the Radical Democracy Show. I think I'm saying that right. I'm so bad at names, you guys. So I'm really excited. It's the first time we're ever going to do anything together. So I'm pumped. And the week after that, I think I have Steve Cox. And that's seriously just like a 2-hour therapy session. Essentially, it's just me and somebody else bitching about shit that pisses us off. And it's fun. And I get to rant a lot. And honestly, I don't care if anybody watches it at all because it's just fun. And then other than that, just billboards, make sure you share and donate and all that good stuff. And if you're anywhere near the Columbus, Ohio area and you would like to help us plan or organize our event, let me know. And if you can help us, hand out flyers or hang stuff up or whatever, just let me know because we need all the help that we can get, obviously. It would be great if we can make this a really kick-ass event. And certainly you should come if you're anywhere near the area, June 14th. Other than that, I think that's all I have.
And I am Kendra Christian. And if you want to follow our Denver group, Denver Action to Free Assange, we're at DNV Free JA on Twitter. And we also have a Facebook page, Denver Action to Free Assange as well. And today in our meeting, someone got us a Reddit. So I've got to get that information. We've got a lot. Our meeting today doubled, which is great. So Denver's growing. We have just more, what it is, it's just more and more people, the message is getting out to them, and I appreciate everybody hammering that home, 2 people on here, especially. I'm glad to see you guys. Andrew, I still can't believe that you got on Tucker. I think that's freaking awesome. And like, and Misty too. We've got a few people in our group, totally. It's just exciting stuff happening. Please support us. It really means a lot to us, like small groups like us, when like Misty and Andrew and Action4Assange help us out with everything we do. Please support us with our events. Our group sees that stuff. It's nice. We appreciate any help to get the word out when we're doing something. So that's it.
My name is Andrew Smith. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Zigman. You can follow us and all of our work at Action_4Assange on Twitter. We will be putting up a website post probably tomorrow with the date and location and all of that for the Columbus event. But we're also probably going to be looking at a January 3rd or 4th event in DC because that is Julian's birthday / 4th of July. So we're still got a bunch of stuff happening. The home run tour events, I will put that website up again. Home run for Assange, number 4 or FOR, will take you there. Home run for Julian, I'm sorry. But Commander X right now does have a stream going on. I dropped that link in chat for everyone. There are some trolls in chat, so if you're someone that likes to troll some trolls, you'll probably have fun. So you can hop on over there. I'll drop the link to the Assange Defense Tour in chat for everybody. But thank you so much, and big thank you to Nico and Brittany for joining us. I love having both of them on, and so that was just super, super cool to get both of them cross-talking together. But with that, thank you, everybody.